Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. We're going to discuss and look at Xbox Developers Direct. It's one of my shows that I'm excited for the most all year because it really deep dives and gives you a lot of gameplay for the games that it does showcase, which is really good to see because a lot of these kind of, showcases during the year, they show like 30 seconds of gameplay, 10 seconds of gameplay, or sometimes even no gameplay. What's great with the Developer Direct is it does show you gameplay. I do think it drags a little bit because they do spend a lot of time talking to developers, which is nice to give them their spotlight, but ultimately can get a bit boring when you're not interested in the game that they're showing.
Player party brawler, online multiplayer party brawler. I'll never do it twice. Okay, I can do it again.
I was really expecting this Xbox Developer Direct specifically to be really boring, to be honest. The lineup looked really poor, especially because there was only 3 games announced, and we knew there was probably going to be a 4th surprise game, but ultimately the lineup did look pretty poor. Saying that, I was pleasantly surprised, and I'm actually excited for a few of the games, or at least more excited than I was. It went from kind of what I was expecting to be a D tier with Fable, really carrying it, to maybe a C or B tier, ultimately. Probably still sitting in the C tier, which isn't amazing, but it's definitely better than where it was. Let's dive right in with the first game. So starting off with our first game, we got Forza Horizon 6. Now for me, I'm disappointed to even see this at the Developer Direct, in my opinion, because for me, Forza is in that category of Call of Duty and FIFA. We know what we're going to get. I don't need to see it in a Developer Direct. I already know what to expect. The only difference for Forza to something like Call of Duty is Call of Duty fans will spend the entire year whinging about Call of Duty. I don't really see that from the Forza fans. But ultimately, if you were a Forza fan, you were going to get it anyway. I don't believe the Developer Direct changed your mind at all. And because this game just looks exactly like every Forza game, but graphically better, and also set in Japan, which is pretty cool, I don't imagine it's changed anyone's mind who isn't into Forza. The only thing that kind of tweaked my interest, because I have played about 10 hours each of the last 2 Forzas, is that it said the career progression was going to be slower, and that's something I really wanted in Forza. I hate the way you hop into Forza and within like 4 or 5 hours you have some of the best cars in the game already. I find that extremely boring, and it's one of the reasons I end up quitting so quickly. Like on these games, racing games specifically, I want to start off in a washing machine and then build my way up into the best cars over 10, 20, 30, 40 hours. I don't want to build, I don't want to be able to go from the worst car to the best car extremely quickly. I don't find that interesting. They also hinted at giant mechs or like Gundam style mechs, which seemed kind of interesting, but they didn't delve into it. So look, I will let you know when I do a review on this game, when it comes to Game Pass, if it's worth downloading or even going and buying if you don't have Game Pass. I don't know if it will be. Again, if you're not really into Forza, I don't think this game will change your mind. So I'm going to be really honest with everybody watching this video. I tried to record this segment in the video about Beast of Reincarnation about 40 or 50 times and ultimately just kept fucking it up because I had to keep going back to look at the story, rewatch the gameplay, to keep discussing it. And normally, yes, I re-record everything 10 or 20 times, but this has been particularly bad, and I think it's due to the fact that this game's just not interesting. The combat looked fun and exciting, but they only showed an actual maybe 30 seconds to a minute of actual combat with the HUD. Most of it was shown without the HUD, so I'm like, I don't actually know what I'm seeing here on the screen. This looks more cinematic than it looks like actual gameplay, and there was just constant frame rate drops during the actual Developer Direct, so it's really not a finished game, much like many of other Game Freaks games where they need more time in the oven. This game needs more time in the oven. Did it have an interesting concept? To be honest, fuck no. I barely can remember the story, and I've read it now 20 or 30 times while doing this video. I mean, you're playing as this main character, Emma, who has no personality, who is infected by the blight and is an outcast or whatever. And you have this dog named Koo. I mean, Koo seemed kind of interesting. I love playing as a dog. I love a dog being involved in the story, but it feels like they just put a dog in here so that I would be like attached to the story rather than actually making the story interesting. Like, I can't tell you a single thing about Emma, and I watched Developer Direct and I've now read the entire article multiple times about this, and I can't tell you anything. And maybe that's really unfair of me to upload as a video, but if your game is this boring or this uninteresting that I have completely forgotten about it after reading about it 20, 30 times, and I'm struggling to even produce a 1 minute or 2 minute section about your game and what's interesting about it, I think that just speaks volumes. Ultimately, I need to see more from this game, and specifically I need to see more gameplay, and I need to see more from the main character, because for me, main characters in games are meant to be, if you're going to make a main character in a game like a Geralt or a Master Chief, you really need in the trailers to make the game seem interesting, like make her seem interesting, because that's who I'm playing as. I would just rather this game let me make my own character, and I think this game instantly moves up maybe 1 or 2 on my interest score, because I'm just like, oh, okay, I don't actually have to get invested in this character, because when you're playing as a main character, they're making decisions that you wouldn't make, or maybe you're getting to make 1 or 2 decisions, but ultimately they're doing their own thing. When I'm playing as the main character, I'm making the decisions, I'm making my story. When I'm playing as someone else, I'm playing their story. Like, there was plenty of times during Witcher 3 where, I wouldn't have really done what Geralt did, or maybe Geralt had done something in his past that I didn't really feel responsible for, but ultimately you're there role-playing as Geralt. Whereas here I'm role-playing as Emma, who I know very little about, doesn't really seem very interesting, and ultimately, again, the game just seems exceptionally generic. I feel like that is a very harsh take on that game, and it is better than what I thought it was going to be, and I'm genuinely being honest about that. It is better than what I thought they were going to show. but it still just did not really grab me as a game. And I think we've just seen about 10 or 20 games that are exactly like this in the last few years, and it really did not stand out. So sorry to anybody who's watching the video who wanted a bit more from that, but I really did try, and it just did not land at all. Next up, we've got Kiln. This is the reason that the title of this video, or the thumbnail of this video, is better than expected, because I genuinely love the look of this game. It got absolutely clowned upon on the live stream, and any live stream I was watching, I watched a few other YouTubers' live streams, it got absolutely clowned on, but yet it's the only game at the whole showcase that was completely unique and original in its concept. Like, I've never seen anything like it. It's a multiplayer-based brawler where you make a pottery sort of pot, I guess, and you fill yourself up with water and try and put out the other team's fire or kiln to win the game. You have a bunch of different abilities based on the size of your pottery item or whatever you've chosen to design yourself as. It looks absolutely mental. It looks fucking ridiculous. And to be fair, if it wasn't on Game Pass, would I buy this game? No. And I think this game shows the magic of Game Pass. This game shows the magic of what Xbox really should be trying to do. Not charging us €28 a month, but instead charging us a tenner and giving us these kind of games that could make me go, oh yeah, I'm going to hop in with this with my friends, because it looks absolutely ridiculous, but also look like an absolute blast. Like, I could really see this game being a very surprising hit because it looks so ridiculous. And honestly, I don't know. I've already signed up for the beta. I can't wait to actually dive in and play this with my mates, because genuinely, it's just the whole gameplay experience of it just looked hilarious. And they did spend way too much time on it, in my opinion, but I did say it at the start of the video, I think they put too much time into every game, and they didn't need the time they had. So it almost felt like if you didn't like a game, you ended up hating the game more because it was putting so much time into the games. And that is part of the problem with the Developer Direct. You really need all your games to hit on the key points. But for a nice little 4 addition to the Developer Direct, and kind of just a surprise addition, I think it's perfect. And I think it looked really fun. And people constantly were clowning on this for looking ridiculous and being absolutely stupid. But I'm like, when a game development studio actually goes out and makes something innovative and makes something creative, it just gets clowned on. And I already said about the last game, Beasts of Reincarnation, was so generic as a video game. I just feel like I've seen the exact game. I feel like if you switched the gameplay in that game with multiple other games like Wukong and stuff, I wouldn't have even fucking noticed that you changed the gameplay. Whereas with this game, I'm like, if you tried to switch this game with another game, I'd be like, hey, that's Kiln. That's that fucking stupid pottery game. And that's what this game is. And I just love the look of it. This is the magic of Game Pass for me, is this game right here. This is a game I would never buy, but actually could end up playing 20, 30, 40 hours of if I got into the feel of it because of Game Pass. So this is the kind of thing that I love to see from Xbox. Again, should it be in a game develop, their big four? Probably not. I really do think they should have more exciting stuff in the works with the amount of studios they own, that they have something better to show than this. But at the end of the day, as a 4th little surprise edition, I did think it was going to be like a drop tonight kind of thing, which it wasn't. But look, as a 4th edition to it, I really do think it was pretty cool. And I'm actually just really weirdly excited for this game. And it's why the video is what it is. It's why this whole showcase moved from a D. And the reason the showcase was a D, and we're about to get into Fable now, don't worry, is because I knew Fable was coming anyway. So you can't give a showcase a good rating based on something that's going to be there. And obviously we knew the other 2 games, but I'm saying in terms of I knew what to expect from Fable. I was kind of hoping maybe Forza would shock me. I was kind of really hoping Beasts of Reincarnation would shock me, which it didn't. But ultimately, this is the game that actually gave me the most wow, okay, this looks kind of fun. So yeah, super excited to see this game. Can't wait to see what they do with it. Finally, we have Fable 4. I'm sure many people have just skipped the entire video to this section because that's all they give a fuck about, as that's all the talk online has been about, which is fair enough when you look at the other games in this showcase. It could have its whole own video, but I really wanted to do justice to the other games and give them their own little spotlight, even though I did end up just completely shitting on Beasts of Reincarnation, but it is what it is. This is a genuine Game of the Year contender to me, starting right off with that, if it delivers on everything it's talked about. I know the hype is here. Hopefully we get to see the game actually deliver on this. I do have some concerns, but mainly it's just full of positives. I mean, 1,000 unique NPCs. I'm not going to get overhyped about that, because at the end of the day, having 2 seconds of dialogue, someone with that is unique, isn't that impressive. And I think Baldur's Gate 3, which is a game I followed from the very start of early access and played, set the bar so high for what NPCs, how many NPC voice lines you can have. That's so hard now to see a game even come near that, but hopefully we can get something close to that with this game, or at least just its own style. I just absolutely love how the NPCs are going to react to you based on your local reputation, which is then affected by how you handle quests or interact in the town, whether you buy a house and you evict somebody. And I just love it. I love how you get to make the world your own, make your own reputation. Multiple big YouTubers have come out who are, I kind of call old heads, who probably aren't that much older than me, but played Fable when they were maybe 8, 9 or 10, and have bitched about the fact that, oh, it's it's not black and white, it's more of a grey area with your morals. If you do something, some people will like it, some people won't. But that's reality. That's a much better game mechanic. I'm sorry, lads, we've moved away from 2005, where it's just he does a bad thing, he's a bad person, he does a good thing, he's a good person, and that's it. And they're just really generic good and bad things, rather than actually breaking down the complexity of it. Because you might, I don't know, bulldoze a house, which which takes a family out of that house or something, and that might be seen as a bad thing. But there might be a whole totally good reason for why you have to bulldoze that house. I have no clue. Maybe you're building an apartment building that now can fit 4 families. Point was, it was a bit of a rant there, but it's trying to show that things are more complex than just what they are on the surface, and the game's trying to replicate that, and I think that's really important. And YouTubers that are bitching about the fact that some of the elements in this game are not like the old Fable need to grow up. And I see this from multiple YouTubers who are in their 30s who whinge and moan about games not being the same as they were when they were young. These people just are not living in reality. Do I think the quality of gaming has gone down? I would also, yes, agree with that. But we also have to realize we like things more when we were a kid. Like, if Black Ops 1 came out now, as it was, would I like it as much? I don't know if I would. I'd love to think I would, because I still go back and play Black Ops 1 and have a great time, but I'm also nostalgic about Black Ops 1. I'm nostalgic about Skyrim. I'm nostalgic about multiple old games that I played. And it's like everyone else is as well. So kind of trying to go like, oh, the game should be like this game I played 20 years ago. It's like, but we've moved past that. Game development has moved on, and we need to move with the times as well. And I think Fable 4 is doing a brilliant job at taking the old concepts from the original Fables, but then rehashing them into the more modernized system, and just removing those just plain old systems that ultimately were just outdated, in my opinion. Moving on to some other sides of it, the humor seemed very on point. They have that kind of British style humor that I really enjoy, kind of Ricky Gervais sort of sarcastic humor that I really like, and I think really fits the tone of Fable. So really excited to see how that plays out throughout the game, because I feel like Fable's one of those games where you need to be getting a laugh consistently. You don't need to be like rolling around in your seat, but just a little chuckle. You need the little chuckle while you're playing Fable, and I feel like from what I've seen in the trailers and what we've seen in the gameplay so far, they've nailed that. Hopefully, again, that continues on throughout the game. My biggest concern, outside of all the story elements that people have been whinging about that I'm not concerned about, my biggest concern is the combat. There were frame rate drops, and I know I really shit on Reincarnation for that, but again, they're kind of different games. But there was also just like moments where it looked shit. Like, they showed some really cool combo moments, like some of the magic and the ability to like turn people into chickens, and like really cool the way it was really dynamic, the way the enemies like accidentally hit each other and stuff. That was really sick. Or like if you shot out a skeleton, like when you were shooting the skeleton in the armor, it wasn't doing any damage, and you shot out his legs. That was really cool. But then there was also like a moment where like they showed her like trying to shoot a bow, and it was like really slow, and like this guy was just holding his lantern out, and she like shoots it, and I was like, you put this in the trailer? Like, you thought that was interesting enough to put in the trailer? And they re-showed it again, I think, later on. It was just a really boring moment, and no one I watched has called it out, and I was like, this is off. Like, that was not nice. And there was a few moments like that in the trailer where I was like, this doesn't look good. Or it looked clunky is the word I'm looking for. Again, they have a good bit of time to still patch those kind of things out and make it look a little more smooth. There are some moments there where I was a little concerned about the combat. I guess what I would say in defense of that is I wouldn't have really ever called Fable a game you're playing for the combat, and this combat obviously far supersedes previous Fable games, so at least there's that much. I do think it still looked exciting in moments, and I think it's still going to be fun overall, but it might also not be that amazing either. I think there is a side of it where it might not be that great, and that was the area I was most concerned with. They also kind of aren't going to continue on from the old games. I am totally fine with that. Again, you had the old heads whinging about that, or some people giving out about it, but for me, I was just like, yeah, why would you continue on a story that's 20 years old? You know, I think it's time to start fresh. If you look at like something like Star Wars, they should have started fresh. Rather than making the sequels. Multiple different franchises I can think of throughout time should have just started fresh when they waited 20 or whatever amount of years to produce the next line of movies or the next line of games. Sometimes it's okay to start fresh in the same universe or tell a completely different story in the same universe and just not relate it in at all. That's totally okay. So definitely the best game in the showcase, followed by Kiln, followed by Forza 6, and then right at the bottom, Beast of Reincarnation. I'm just super fucking hyped for this game. I really can't wait to see more at the Xbox showcase. I would hope we would get to see more, and I think that's normally in June. Absolutely unbelievable, and I know that's what everyone was come to watch this video for, but I'm so excited for this game. I think it met every expectation, and if you haven't watched the trailer or you haven't like read the full developer's thoughts on it, I would go do that, because he actually says some really interesting stuff in his interview. So go check that out. Best of luck, guys. Hope you have the best day. If you did enjoy this video, please like, subscribe, hit the share button. It really does make a big difference to the channel, especially as a growing YouTuber, and I really appreciate anybody who watched this full video, because I know it's probably quite a long video. But yeah, thanks very much, guys. Best of luck and enjoy your day.